Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Kent Tilley, and today I want to stay away from anything political, so I'm going to talk about teachers in Alberta and inflation because that's obviously not a politically charged issue. We all know that these guys get into that profession because of the holidays, because they're greedy, because they don't want to work hard. We know that these guys are in it for themselves completely, and I for one, am always on the side of the government and the politicians because I believe what they say. But I do want to talk about how inflation has impacted teachers because it looks like the teachers in Alberta are probably going to go on strike on October 6th. So I just want to talk about the numbers. I know there's going to be some people that are really mad. I do have a little bit of inside, information on how this worked and paid a lot of attention to this because my ex is a teacher, and so this actually had some impact on my life. And when I first met her in about 2010, and she told me what her salary was because she was at the top of the grid, I was like, holy crap, like I did not know that teachers made that much money. But since then, and you'll see in like the numbers that I'm going to pull up right away, teachers in Alberta really haven't made any more money since, 2010 or 2011. This was sort of bad timing when their contracts were up for renewal, all of these things. And it really didn't have that huge of an impact until COVID came in and taught us all a really hard truth about how bad inflation can impact the way that our lives are lived if we're not keeping up with inflation with the amount of money we're making. And so when I'm talking about teachers, I'm talking about every single person in the country and basically around the world has not seen their income go up with inflation, and we're all losing to it. And so this is just going to show, the actual numbers over time of a teacher in Alberta that was at the actual top of the grid, which most of them do not make this much money, but there are some with 2 degrees or whatever, and all of the experience that make this much money. So in 2011, they're starting with $99,119 per year. Really good money in 2011. And that year inflation was 2.9%. So what we're going to do is say, okay, imagine they did keep up with inflation. Then their next year's salary was going to be $101,993. But they didn't actually get their first bump until 2015, which pushed them to 101,668. And at that time, had they been keeping up with inflation, it would have been more like 106,000. So you're not really getting into like some big economic problem here where your life is like really way different in 2015 because you haven't kept up with inflation. Some could argue that they were maybe being paid more than they should have been in 2011. And there's no way that you'll see at the end of this graph that they're going to be asking to get bumped up to inflation to where they should have been. So anyway, that keeps steady until 2022 when they get bumped up to 102,939. But in 2022, that was the worst year for inflation. That's when inflation went up 6.8%. So at that point in time, they should have been making 120,000 had they been keeping up with inflation. And in today's dollars, after the next 2 years that were also pretty aggressive with inflation, above like sort of the 2.1 average that we use, they should be being paid in today's dollars 133,659. Now, if you add all of that up over the 14 years, they've missed out on about $150,000 worth of income compared to inflation, which obviously is starting to have a big impact. Now, this isn't the only thing that teachers want. They aren't just in it for the money, but they are trying to negotiate a new contract. And I mean, if it was me and I had a union and I could be paid more, and Alberta says that they have a surplus, then I probably would be wanting a little bit more and a little bit better working conditions, because I know that these guys and girls do work really hard. They're very tired. They just want a little bit better working conditions, and their lifestyles have been impacted because inflation has been so bad. So, I mean, I, for one, don't know which side I'm on. You'd never guess from the way that I talk about this. That's my 2 cents. Just thought you could look at some numbers and say, okay, maybe that makes a little bit of sense why they might actually want a little bit of a boost in pay. Cheers.